So let's talk about something that's, well, it's a massive shift in finance. We're talking about AI agents that can analyze markets, backtest strategies, and pretty much act as your own personal financial analyst. And this isn't some sci-fi movie plot, it's actually happening right now.
I mean, really think about that for a second. What if you had this complex trading idea pop into your head and you could just say it out loud? And then boom, a few seconds later, see a full report on how it would have performed over the last 5 years? And yeah, this isn't some far-off concept. These tools are already here. So what we're going to do now is break down exactly how they work, what they can really do, and maybe most importantly, the critical trade-offs that you absolutely need to know about. Okay, let's start with what is, for my money, the most revolutionary part of all this, being able to command these AI agents in plain English. And it all comes down to this really powerful concept called skills.
The best way to think about skills is like pre-packaged expertise. You give an AI agent a backtesting skill, and all of a sudden, it speaks finance. It knows what an EMA crossover is, that common signal for when to buy or sell. It gets concepts like a stop loss for managing risk. All of this without you ever having to touch a line of code.
And this slide it lays it out perfectly. You start with a simple idea, and then you just keep talking to it. Okay, now can you add a 5% stop loss? Great. Let's also put in a 20% target. How does that actually stack up against just holding the Nifty 50 index? You see, each question just builds on the last, and in a few minutes, you've got a full performance report. It's not coding, it's a conversation.
So how in the world does this actually work under the hood? Well, the secret isn't one single giant superbrain AI. Nope, it's more like a whole crew of specialized agents, each with its own job, all working together as a team.
And all this magic happens inside what's called an agentic framework. You know what? Think of it like a general contractor on a construction site. It takes your big, complex request, breaks it down into smaller, manageable tasks, and then hands each piece off to a specialist agent who knows exactly what to do. Let's look at a real example with the Profit Pilot AI project. Say you ask a simple question about Tesla stock. The framework immediately taps its financial analyst agent on the shoulder. That agent goes out, scrapes all the data it needs, then it passes that raw information over to the investment advisor agent, whose entire job is to turn all those numbers into actual actionable insights. And finally, all of that gets packaged into a neat report just for you. And that's really the big idea here. It's frameworks like Crew AI that are the engines making this whole collaboration possible. They create this seamless workflow where every agent brings its unique skill to the table. It turns your simple question into a really sophisticated analysis, just like a real-world team of analysts would. Okay, this all sounds pretty amazing, right? But there's a huge question, a real elephant in the room, especially when we're talking about money. What about privacy? I mean, do you really want to be sending all your sensitive financial data to some third-party AI company? And this quote from the developer of Finance GPT just hits the nail on the head. When you're dealing with personal bank statements, or maybe a proprietary trading strategy you've been working on, sending that stuff into the cloud is, for a lot of people, an absolute non-starter. And for good reason. And that's where a tool like Llama becomes a total game changer. It basically lets you download and run incredibly powerful AI models. We're talking things like Llama 3 or Mistral, entirely on your own computer, your own laptop. This means your data never ever leaves your machine. It is 100% local and private. So, this gives you a really fundamental choice to make. You can use an extremely powerful cloud AI like GPT-4o, but you do it at the cost of your privacy. Or you can use a local AI through Llama, which gives you complete data security, but, and it's a big but, the quality and the speed of your results will depend entirely on the power of your own computer.
All right, so we've got the incredible promise, and we've got the tools. But how do they actually hold up in the real world? It's time for a little reality check on performance, some of the challenges, and what these agents actually cost you in terms of time and, processing power.
Because here's the thing you have to understand. The framework you choose can have a massive impact on both speed and cost. It's not just about what the agent can do, but how efficiently it gets it done. Just take a look at this benchmark. It's fascinating. For a pretty simple task, Crew AI takes 3 times as long and burns through 3 times the resources compared to another framework called LangGraph. That's a huge difference. The reason is something researchers call managerial overhead. Basically, Crew AI's agents spend a lot of time talking to each other and double-checking their work. Now that's absolutely crucial for complex jobs, but it's total overkill for simple ones. So the takeaway is, you gotta pick the right tool for the job. And look, if you do go the local route for privacy, you've got to be realistic about the trade-offs. The quality of the reasoning might not be on par with the big cloud models like GPT-4o. Speed can definitely be a bottleneck if you don't have a powerful GPU. And you'll need a decent amount of RAM. We're talking 8 gigabytes minimum, but really 16 is what you want to run things smoothly. These challenges, performance and resources, they aren't just for individuals tinkering on their laptops. So let's zoom out for a second and look at the bigger picture. The same technology is being adopted, and fast, by major financial institutions, which, well, that introduces a whole new scale of questions and risks.
Think about it. When a huge hedge fund or a big investment bank starts using these AI agents to manage billions of dollars, the stakes just get exponentially higher. This is something the entire industry is trying to figure out right now.
The Financial Market Standards Board points to two massive risks. First, accountability. If an AI agent loses millions of dollars on a bad trade, who's to blame? The programmer? The firm? The AI itself? And second, explainability. Can the system actually explain why it made a certain decision? For regulators, that's not just a nice feature to have, it is an absolute necessity.
And this all leads us to a really fascinating final question. In a world where an AI can do all this complex financial analysis in a matter of seconds, what's the most valuable human skill left? Is it having that deep, old-school expertise, or is it just knowing how to ask the right questions? Something to think about. Thanks for tuning in.